I don't normally do this. I'm usually quite a positive person, and whenever I'm reviewing a product or I'm unboxing something, I always want to really talk about the positives of whatever I am reviewing. But unfortunately, today is one of those days when I'm not 100% happy with these Comica wireless mics, and I'm going to talk a few reasons why. Don't get me wrong, these microphones have been an absolute game changer. Being able to plug in a receiver into my phone and then being able to actually put the transmitters on your body like so, and being able to have a conversation because that mic is now close by, and being able to like interview someone who's maybe like a meter away from me, or even better, let's say the camera is quite far away and I could be talking into this mic. And honestly, I'm so glad I have made the switch to filming with wireless microphones. But I think there are some improvements that can be made. As you can see with these Comicas, they are a bit on the sort of bulky side. They don't look the most sort of fashionable. I wish like it was a bit smaller maybe. It's quite a boxy design. But probably the biggest issue I have with these is using it with the phone. So typically you would have a DSLR. As you can see here, I've got a DSLR, and you'd be using the hot shoe mount to clip the receiver into it, clip the receiver into the DSLR, and then I could use the USB jack here and it will plug into the camera. And this is absolutely fine. But as a vlogger, I actually am going to be using these wireless microphones with the phone. And so of course it means having to plug this cable in, which is, it's not very long. Now of course, like if I'm holding the phone myself, this will be plugged in, and then when I'm vlogging, I have to hold the phone and also hold the receiver at the same time. Now of course, if I'm doing an interview with someone, which I did have to do at EGX, I'd have to be holding this, and it's very awkward having to hold the receiver at the same time. Like, you know, my hand could get very tired. So just not an ideal solution, and I'll get onto what the alternatives are. The other issue I've had, and again this could be quite a detrimental one, is when I do eventually start filming more on the DSLRs, the audio needs to be clean. And what I found was when I plugged the receiver into my Panasonic BoomX DSLR, there was actually a little bit of static noise coming from it. And when I was just using the onboard microphone, it was actually better quality. And I was like, no, this can't be happening. And of course, I don't know if it's a faulty cable or how it's compatible with the camera, but I will be testing this with other microphones as well to make sure it's not an issue with the camera. But yeah, that is obviously a massive issue. The other thing is, when I'm using this, let's say with the receivers, you can only really, I either can hand hold it or I can clip it. And of course, you know, I'm wearing a top here, so of course it can only really be clipped on the top. Which brings me onto the wireless microphones I'm going to buy next and to replace these. So I've decided to go for the DJI wireless mics. The advantage of the DJIs is they come in a much smaller form factor, so not that sort of bulky shape that you see here, but instead it's like a rounded, and maybe perhaps it's a little bit thicker, but obviously to hold the battery, but they look smaller, so of course when you clip it on, you know, it just doesn't look as distracting. The other cool thing about those mics is they actually come with magnets, so rather than having to clip it, you can clip it, but you could also attach a magnet, let's say on the inside, and then basically the mic could be here or wherever you want to place it. And of course, you know, it just adds a lot more versatility when it comes to filming. So for example, if I'm like wearing a black top, then rather than it sticking out a little bit, then actually you'd almost be able to almost completely hide it, because then it'll be like kind of just on the top, and you know, people might not even notice it, which is very cool. The other cool thing about those mics, it comes in a charging case. So I've got here, this is the case that the Comicas come in. However, the DJIs, you plug in the transmitters and the receivers into the case, and it charges inside the case, which is going to be very useful because I'm very much someone who likes to charge their devices to 100% all the time. to make sure that I've got that I'm not going to run out of battery. So that's going to be a lot of peace of mind as well. But the biggest reason why I want to switch from the Comicas to the DJIs is the fact that I can actually, I won't have to make do with this really annoying cable that you have to hold. Even let's say if someone else is filming me, they have to hold both the phone and the receiver at the same time, which again can be quite annoying. So with the DJIs, you can have the cable, and again you need that with the DSLRs, but you can also attach another attachment which allows the receiver to plug directly onto the smartphone, which basically means that no one's gonna have to hold this, including myself. So of course, if I'm vlogging, then I'll just be able to, as I do normally, hold just the phone without having to hold the receiver, which is going to be, again, just an absolute game changer, because then it'll free up my hand. It probably won't get as tired when I am vlogging, and again, it's going to be more useful for the person filming as well, for sure, because then technically it frees up a hand for them, which just adds a lot more versatility, and it's just going to make things a lot easier for everyone. The other mics which I also could potentially buy are the Rode Wireless Go 2s, so that they're also a major competitor to the DJI and technically the Comicas as well. And yeah, I did really consider that one as well, and thankfully I actually got to hold it at EGX. There's a few people using those as well, and again, I'm sure the audio quality will be absolutely fine on those as well. But what I didn't quite like was that they were like a sort of more square design, so a bit more prominent, and I didn't quite like that. I wanted something that was just more low-key, something that you can just sort of hide away as opposed to just being there. I must admit, you can also buy a sort of like microphone attachment as well to like look like, you know, you're doing like an interview style, which would have been quite cool, where I'm not going to be able to do that with the Comicas or the DJIs, although I'm sure I'll find like maybe some third-party solutions for that. But the main advantage that the DJIs have over the Comica and the Rode is it doesn't come with it's the magnet and then also the charging case, and the Rode doesn't have either of those two things. So to me it was like very much a clear winner. So I'm very much looking forward to unboxing those. So I'll see you in the next video.